Welcome everybody to the Nightly News broadcast of game number 2, Central Penn versus Williamson Trade. Convincing victory in game 1 as Yohan Morales struck out 10 on the way to a 12-0 victory for the Knights, their 6th consecutive win. Cameron Smiley on the mound as the game 2 starter. So we are going to hopefully see a doubleheader sweep here. Paul, Miller, Steve Hassinger. Steve, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us here. What do you think we need to see here in game number 2?
Well, we got the senior Smiley on the mound, and I would consider him the leader of the pitching staff, but we've seen great pitching all around from Sam Royer and certainly from Morales there in the first game. So the Central Penn pitching, I think, was one of our question marks coming into the season, and based on what we've seen here in the early season, it looks like we're in pretty good shape with the pitching. And certainly the hitting in game 1, we mentioned that everybody up and down the lineup contributed in one way or another to scoring 12 runs there and in just 4 innings of play.
And again, gotta let you guys know off the top, our camera is in the line of fire from the wind, I suppose you would say. So each half inning I will do my best to correct that, but if you do see it moving, that is why, because it is slightly breezy, a little bit more breezy than it was out here in game number 1.
Yeah, very little wind in game 1, and now it appears to be blowing directly in from center field. Still a beautiful afternoon.
Oh, absolutely.
We mentioned earlier that it was very cloudy when we got out here to the stadium today, and the forecast really, hour by hour, was for continued clouds, but the sun has broken through, and upper 50s at this point. Beautiful afternoon for baseball.
And again, if you are in the vicinity, stop on by. See Cam Smiley on the mound. What a pitch. I'll tell you, that pitch had as much movement as I've ever seen from a Cam Smiley fastball to get the first strike.
Probably ended up a little high and outside, but the batter just couldn't hold up.
This is Rikrovich. Again, another one of those players from the ESAC Conference game last season, and really every time we played Williamson over the past several seasons. And just gets a piece of that to go to 0-2.
Goes high and outside with the first 2 pitches and then comes down and into him.
And again, Smiley in these last 2 games has been nothing short of dominant. Only a couple 3-inning starts.
Come get him.
So interesting to see what we're going to get out of Smiley. Again, he just pitched on Sunday 3 innings. So not sure. Again, both of the starts, Smiley has pitched 3. So I wonder if that's the game plan here, to pitch him again for 3 innings.
And to some degree, it may depend on what the score is at that point.
And he walks him. Not what you like to see from the first batter of the game, but we'll trust that Smiley is going to get it under control as Ramon Sanchez steps in, the left fielder.
Yeah, Morales started game 1 with a 1-2-3 first inning, and here the leadoff batter is on. So let's see if they attempt to steal second here.
Instead of the steal of second, they were trying to push over a runner. Again, Smiley has had a wonderful homestand here with his 3rd start in the last 8 days. Oh, that hit him.
Yeah, the runner was taken off, but it did catch a piece of him. First 2 men on base now with a walk and a hit by pitch.
Come on now, kid.
So Smiley facing some adversity here with nobody out. And Nauman, who is also going to be the pitcher today. And does get the first pitch strike.
Saw Central Penn be very aggressive on the bases in game one. Williamson Trade did not have very many base runners to be aggressive in game one, but first 2 men on here in this game two.
And the slider gets across the plate. Again, we mentioned this in the first game, but you definitely can see that the Senators have been working on their scoreboard. And just gets a piece of that. Does Nauman.
We see work going on around the stadium here as the Senators prepare for opening night on April 7th.
And there's a shot right back to Smiley. He can't field it. That could have been a double play, but does get the first out.
Yeah, might have had a chance at double play if he could have fielded it cleanly. It wasn't a real strong double play ball, but he did a good job of staying with it and at least making sure that he got the out at first. But you have 2 runners in scoring position now with just 1 out.
Gross steps in. He's the one that launched a double in the first game. A double here would be valued and appreciated from Williamson Trade, who was blanked in game number 1 by Juan Morales in his 10 strikeouts. And in a 7-inning game to get 10 strikeouts, that's impressive. And of course, it didn't even go to 7.
I was going to say, and even more impressive in 5 innings.
That slider is Cam Smiley's bread and butter. Of course, he's got the velocity, but that slider, if he can locate that pitch, it's darn near impossible for the offensive players to make any type of contact with that. And then, excuse me, almost into the Knights dugout, brings it to 2 strikes.
Yeah, and this would be a big strikeout for him to get with just 1 out in 2nd and 3rd. Get the strikeout here, then you could get out of the inning with the next batter.
He ducked, and honestly, it looked like the slider almost would have hit him. Would he have been an inch to the to his right? Comes straight back up into section 206 over here at FNB Field. Again, Steven mentioned that the Senators open up on the 7th. Of course, we want to thank the Senators for their partnership with the Knights, and you can always go to senatorsbaseball.com for more information about when the Senators will be in town. You got to come out for some games this summer and spring while we're at it. And another just barely got a piece of that one.
Yeah, good job to reach out and just spoil that pitch there with 2 strikes. 2-2 now on the hitter.
Downstairs, low brings it full for Smiley.
And you were wondering how long Smiley's going to go. He's throwing a lot of pitches here in the 1st inning, so it may be a shorter outing for him.
Well, with the complete game from Morales in game 1, this is going to go to Wilson, and he can't come up with it. Here comes 2. And 2 runs come in to score.
And it was going to be a tough play, but Wilson certainly could have gotten the out at first, or at least kept the other run from scoring, but rushed it a little bit and tried to backhand it and just rolled up his glove and down the left field line.
And as we mentioned, Steve, with Jacob Nauman on the mound for Williamson Trade, you don't want to let this game get too far away from you here in the early going.
You do not. Nauman really battled last year in that ESAC championship game, and just grinded it out. And it's a tough loss for Williamson Trade, but had to be proud of the way he pitched in that game. As I said, had an opportunity just to chat with him a little bit after the game and told him honestly, as a career services director, I work with a lot of employers who love to hire people with that kind of grit.
And off the plate, and Smiley's struggles continue. Although he, a couple of batted balls out of the infield and a couple of walks. I mean, it's not like they've been hitting him hard.
That's right. Yep.
Big pitch there. Gets the swing from Nagel. So let's see what the Knights come up with here with a little bit of adversity. Just gets a piece of that. That'll bring it to 2 strikes. Miller and Steve Hassinger here for the Nightly News. Of course, we'll be back here with you on April 14th is our next broadcast. You can always go to centralpennknights.com for more information about the schedule. See if you can catch the Knights on the road at any point between now and then. Just gets a piece of it, does Nagel. Steve still only 1 out here.
A long first inning here for Smiley.
The pitch. And he struck him out. Huge strikeout for Cameron Smiley.
Good job, 2-7.
Landislau comes to the plate. He is the shortstop in game number 2. And if Cam can get out of this inning with only 2, I think he'd probably be pretty happy with that. That slider gets in there for a strike.
Good pitch there, just catching the outside corner of the plate.
And can Smiley get out of this inning? Knights trail 2-0. Runner on second. That's 2 more than they scored in the first game. And the pitch. And he gets a strike there.
Good pitch.
And he struck him out. And what a way for Smiley to battle back after the walk and the hit by pitch. They both came around, but he's hung in there and struck out the last 2 batters. And we'll go to the bottom of the first. Knights trail for the first time today, 2-0.
Save the date for Friday, May 29th at 6 p.m. as the CPC Film Series returns for the spring term. Nightly News Hall of Famer Dylan Bowman and recent graduate Nick Hogan will present a special triple feature of their independent films. More information will be announced at the beginning of the spring term. Save the date for May 29th for this unique event.
And Steve, I appreciate you talking about that. Yeah, we are going to be releasing some more information here at the beginning of the spring, but it's going to be quite the evening. And Steve, I certainly hope that you can stay and check out some of our alumni films. But yeah, this is unique. Usually we do, popular films from over the years. This is 2 independent filmmakers. Dylan Bowman has made his own films, has screened his own films at the college before, but has a new film that he's going to be featuring. And then Nick Hogan is an animator, so he will be showing a 20-minute animated short film. So they're all short films. It's not going to be a triple feature in that we're going to be there for 6 and 7 hours. Each of the films is about 15 to 20 minutes. So It's going to be a really fun night, and it's going to be unique and different from the film series that we just celebrated our 30th edition, Steve.
Wow, that's hard
when
to believe.
Noah Lopez did Fight Club. And I did write a very heartfelt story about some of the history of the film series over the years, how it got started, sort of the Nightly News' involvement. So I do encourage you to go back and check that out on cpcnightlynews.com. And of course, you can always check out all of our game coverage, our athletic coverage, and all the other coverage that we have. We cover other things than just sports. So we encourage you to go to cpcnightlynews.com for more information. And of course, our game wrap will be up tomorrow.
And for followers of the Nightly News and Central Penn Knights baseball, they would have probably also seen several photos that Dylan has taken in the past
100%.
of Knights baseball.
Yeah, Dylan was actually here on Sunday, so if you checked out our game, he's not at every game. We do have some student photographers, but Dylan does come out when he is able to do so. Also, one of our photographers for Camp Hill Challenger Baseball as well.
Nice.
So Dylan likes to give back to the community. Dylan's at Fellowship Studios. You can check that out on Google. As we see Wilson, who strikes out looking after reaching base 4 consecutive times in game number 1. So, and this is the thing about the doubleheader. You can win the first game by as many runs as you want, but you still have to come back and get back into that groove.
Yeah, a little different feel to the start of game 2 here, and the Knights need to try to get something going here with the bats to answer the 2 that Williamson scored in the first.
Big slider from Nauman.
Knights got off to a quick start in game 1, scoring 6 and sending 11 hitters to the plate in the bottom of the first.
And I'll tell you, Nauman looks sharp. Just off the plate.
Nauman's certainly not a big guy, but as we've said before, just really gritty competitor out there on the mound.
There's a shot to center. That could get down, and that will get down, and that's going to be for extra bases. And the ball is still rolling. And he runs through the stop sign. He was stopped by the third base coach, and he just kept going. In his defense, it was a good decision to do that.
Well, I think the coach was going to stop him, assuming that it was going to be fielded cleanly, but when it was dropped, yeah, he just decided to keep going to third and made it into third easily, standing up.
And here comes Tanner McCoy, who is arguably the hottest Knight. And that one might have made it to the river.
And do I recall that Tanner only had 1 hit in that first game?
I know, what's going on?
Come on, Tanner.
Well, again, it was only 5 innings.
That's true. Yeah,
Slider off the
he
plate.
has really been swinging a hot bat here in the early going.
We started off just after 3 o'clock. This is a 7-inning contest for those of you who are just checking us out today. When we do doubleheaders, we do 2 7-inning contests. So, though, of course, they will go to extra innings if the ball game is tied. And that's right back up the middle, and that's going to score a run. Another RBI from Tanner McCoy.
Yeah, just a nice piece of hitting there, Tanner. Didn't try to do too much with that pitch. It was down across the plate. He just went down there with it and just hit it straight back up the center, back up the middle, and pitcher couldn't field it.
And Joseph up to the plate. Does get the strike call.
And Tanner, not the fastest base runner we have, but he is a good base runner, and he has stolen bases, so let's see if he takes off here with 1 out. Not going on that pitch.
Joseph, 3 for 3 in game number 1. Had a single, or 2 singles and a double. Scored twice and drove in a run. And gets the call. I don't think Joseph was too happy with that pitch.
Shaking his head a little bit. Some of the fans behind us not real happy with it either.
Well, that's implying that we're happy with it, Steve, which we are not. And he got him. Goes down swinging for Naaman's second K of the inning. And, that's a situation where you're thrown off by a bad call like that. Now you got to guard the plate, maybe swinging at a pitch you're not normally going to swing at.
Go DT!
Yeah, let's see if Thomas can keep it going here in game 2 and pick him up. Definitely saw him swinging the bat better in game 1.
Thomas reached base 4 times. A single and a double. He was 2 for 2. Run and an RBI for David Thomas. And we got to chat between games. I made a comment that I thought Thomas might have had a home run there, and he said that he knew that he didn't quite have enough on it, but he was happy that it was a double nonetheless. That ball's downstairs. Got to give it to the Knights. 2 runs in the top, they come right back and score 1. I mean, even if that's it for this inning, that just goes to show what the Knights are capable of doing. And gets away from the catcher. Again, our apologies about the camera. It is a little bit breezier than it was earlier today, so it does wreak a little bit of havoc with our camera. So I will try to keep that monitored for you as best I can.
Yeah, wind was not bad at all in game 1, but it has picked up here in game 2.
There's a shot, and that's going to hit off the wall. And Ken McCoy score all the way from first. And he's sure going to give it a try as David Thomas in with his stand-up double.
Yeah, not even a throw there. That ball was really hit well, went all the way to the wall. So good job by McCoy. With 2 outs there, obviously, going on the crack of the bat.
Brings up Jack Getty, the freshman catcher here. This is, at least on this homestand, the second game that he's caught. May win the award for most stickers on his helmet.
And the pitcher and the catcher having a difficult time getting together on the signs here.
Okay, so this is the first time that the catcher went to the mound, even though last game the pitcher was constantly in trouble and the catcher didn't go out once.
Well, and Nauman actually called him out there, so obviously they couldn't get together on the signs. And I don't know if their signs are different with a runner on second or not. That might be part of the issue.
Fastball right down Broadway for a strike.
No pitch comm here in college.
Unfortunately not. You'd mentioned earlier how we don't have any ABS. I do think they are going to have ABS in the minor leagues. In fact, I'm pretty sure they already do.
Well, they had ABS, yeah, because some of the younger players who have just recently come up with the minors, I know, are being consulted by the manager and the players on proper use, when to challenge, when not to challenge.
Yeah, I think you'd have to have a pretty good conversation with the players ahead of time to know who has the authority. Sam Royer almost saved us from potential disaster, but no one was hit by that ball. And Getty still has a shot for an RBI with a runner in scoring position. And straight back at us. And Getty hangs in there.
Let's go, 4. Base hit, let's go. Have some fun, let's go.
And this is going to be a tough play.
Get there, Jack, get there, Jack, get there, Jack. Oh!
Just
And
barely
he
out.
is out, and that was a close play, I must say. Well, nonetheless, the Knights do come back and add 2 runs to tie up this ball game, and we will go to the, top of the second. It's 2-2.
And Weis Markets is proud to announce their new and improved grocery rewards program. Customers can earn and redeem their points to receive free or discounted Weis quality items. Visit weismarkets.com or stop by your local Weis Markets to learn more information. Eat better, spend less. That's Weis.
Take a short break and we'll be right back here with you. Paul Miller, Steve Hassinger. And quickly one down. Exactly what the doctor ordered as Locklear goes down with the ground out to get the first out. That was part of the issue last time, that Smiley allowed 2 base runners to start off the inning. No such luck for Williamson this time.
Yeah, when Central Penn gets those 2 runs back, you really like to see your pitcher come out and shut them down and get the momentum swinging back Central Penn's way.
Here's number 5, Stanton, as that fastball off the plate.
Stanton showing bunting. Wilson came flying in from third base there, but was fouled off.
No statistics on the season for Stanton. 2-2 ball game, as we are here in the top of the second inning. And out of play. Hits off the third sweet. I will say, I've never had the privilege of sitting in a suite outside of a Central Penn game, and it's scary up there if you're not paying attention. Struck him out. Big K for Cam Smiley, as he has really come out here on fire in the second as McLaughlin comes up. Shane McLaughlin listed as a catcher, an infielder, and a pitcher, though McLaughlin has not pitched, although Smiley almost hits him there.
Yeah, did a good job to get out of the way there. Pitcher's well inside.
Fair to say Smiley's not as sharp as he has been, although that's a very high bar.
Well, and if he could get this batter and get a 1-2-3 inning here, and maybe he'll settle into a groove.
And
it's a long fly, though.
While deep is going to stay in the stadium, and that is going to retire the side, and no runs, no hits, no errors. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Tie game, 2-2.
Hop into great deals this Easter at your local Weis markets. In addition to redeeming your holiday ham, you can add a complimentary Weis quality item to your cart. Visit weismarkets.com/rewards for more details. Eat better, spend less. That's Weis.
And of course, thank you so much to Weis Markets for being our full season sponsor for both men's and women's basketball and baseball. We greatly appreciate their continued support. So throughout the season, you'll hear lots of amazing things about what Weis has going on. But for now, we'll take a short break and be right back. Here we go, bottom of the second inning. We'll see Smith Cole, Cruz, and Chucky Lawrence getting the start in right field today. The fan favorite, Charles Lawrence. We saw him doing the worm pregame on Sunday. That was interesting. Steve, I don't know how well you know Charles, but he is always got a smile on his face. I mean, you could see him. He could be having the worst day in the world and always got a smile for you.
That's awesome to have that positive attitude.
And Smith Cole is going to be a tough play. And it gets by the shortstop.
Yeah, he knew he was going to have to hurry because that was just a chopper that was not hit real hard to shortstop. And with Smith Cole's speed, he knew he had to hurry. And as he tried to, he just couldn't field it cleanly. And Smith Cole tripped going over first base, or he might have tried to get second when that ball went into center field.
Here's Darwin Cruz. Going back over to check on Smith Cole. Gets the strike call. Again, generous.
Yeah, and Cruz kind of mouthed, wow.
Well, and that's part of the reason that you know, not implying that he didn't do this, but that's why it's so important that you're constantly watching all of your teammates at bats, because he would have seen that that same strike call was given to Nick Joseph just a few batters ago. And there goes Smith Cole. And he gets in there safely.
Yeah, closest play we've seen at second on a stolen base attempt, but second baseman couldn't field it cleanly. He wouldn't have had him anyways. He would have been safe, but it would have been a close play.
And quickly, nobody out, no runner in scoring position for Cruz. And that's upstairs.
And good job by Cameron Smiley there in the top of the inning as his team answered back with 2 in the bottom of the first to come out and to quickly get the mechanics out and get the offense back up again. See if we can get the lead here.
And he struck him out. Cruz down looking with 2 really nice pitches from Nauman.
Yeah, that was a really nice pitch.
And here's Charles Lawrence. Let's see what Chucky can do. And there goes Smith Cole. No throw. That ball didn't even get 5 feet away from the catcher and couldn't even muster a throw over to third base.
Yeah, Smith Cole was ready for that when it got away from him and took off as soon as it did. And you can hear the Central Penn dugout here, big fans also of Lawrence.
I'm hearing people all around the stadium calling him Charlie, Chucky, and Chuck, and Charles. That's 4 different names I've heard people call him in just this at bat. Straight back at us.
He was right on that pitch, fouled it straight back.
Can Lawrence get an RBI here? Little high.
Good
Right
eye.
at the letters, so that was close.
Yeah, it was a good eye, just a little bit high. Would have been a pitch that he wouldn't have been able to really do anything with.
And just gets a piece of that one.
Hanging tough here, fouling him off.
And Lawrence off the plate. He works the count full. And Nauman. And he struck him out. Lawrence fishing.
Yeah, ball four, but Lawrence just couldn't hold up.
It's going to be back to the top of the order for Jamarcus Wilson. Had reached 4 times in game number 1. Struck out in the first at bat to lead off the bottom half of the first. And can they get Smith Cole home after he singled, stole a base, and made it to third with 2 consecutive strikeouts? So can Wilson just put this ball where they aren't so we can get Wilson home and take a 3-2 lead? The pitch. Big slider on the outside corner.
Good pitch there by Nauman.
And that's a very similar pitch that Smiley has been excelling with. So maybe Nauman taking some cues from Smiley. And a fastball off the plate. That one's downstairs. I will say some good catcher defense here from Williamson Trade. Obviously the first game could have gotten a lot more out of hand if not for some good defensive plays from the backstop.
Yeah, good job to block that ball in the dirt there and prevent that runner from coming in from third.
Upstairs, and Wilson will walk. Knights threaten again. 2 base runners here. 2 down though.
Push up in that box, a lot of curveballs. Push up, attaboy.
McCahan tripled and scored back in the first. And there's a shot to right. And that's going to be out of play.
Just bounced up against the right field wall. Not enough time for the right fielder to get over there to have a play on it.
No, you can do that. Stay down. Stay down. Down and through, kid. Go, Jordan.
McCahan 1 for 3 in the first game, did score 2 runs and had an RBI. Inside, and Wilson takes second.
Yeah, Wilson running on the pitch there, and with that pitch way up and inside, the catcher didn't have a chance to make a throw.
And give all credit to Wilson there for heads-up base running. And McCahan skies this. This is going to be another tricky play, and it will be out of play up in the bleachers behind the first base line.
Bear down, Jordo.
2-2 ball game, but second and third, 2 down. Can McCahan get a base hit here? Another one ripped out of play down the right-hand side. Looks like he is just a little late on getting around there. McCoy waits on deck. And he struck him out. What a pitch by Nauman to end the inning and get out of the threat. Knights threaten but do not score, and the game's still 2-2.
Well, we've been talking a lot about food, and one thing I know is it's hard to study when you're hungry. The college pantry can help. Central Penn College and your Student Government Association are committed to ensuring that all of our CPC Knights have access to food when they need it. Requests are kept anonymous and can be submitted online. Look for the link under the links section of Student Central or contact Lindsay Garber, Director of Housing and Residence Life, at lindsaygarber@centralpenn.edu.
We'll take a short break, and we'll be back here with you in just a moment. Back here with you, Paul Miller, Steve Hassinger, as we are here in the top of the third inning. Tie ball game 2-2. And Smiley's still out there.
Yeah, much more competitive game here so far in game 2.
Krokrovich walked and scored. The leadoff runner in the game was able to make it around and score. Gets the strike. That seemed to be a little low, but of course will take that one. A couple of calls didn't go our way in the last inning. There's a shot to left, but that will be out of play.
Off the netting down the left field line.
Smiley just off the plate. Runs count to 2-2.
Clouding up a little bit more now here at FNB Field, but the crowd has grown quite a bit since the beginning of game 1. Still a nice afternoon for baseball here in the end of March.
Smiley just off the plate. And what a slider. Had Krokrovich fooled. And that will be Cam Smiley's 4th strikeout of the day.
Smiley's really settled in here since that first inning where he gave up 2 runs, got those first 2 batters on base. Came back nicely in the second and a strong start to the third here.
2-2 ball game here, top third. And this is going to be a tough play. Smiley to first, and he gets the out.
Good job by Cam there to jump on that ball quickly and had plenty of time. Then didn't rush the throw and just made a good throw to first to get the second out.
Especially in the earlier in this game, we saw Cam with just a small struggle fielding the ball cleanly. I know listen, fielding the ball coming off the mound is one of the hardest things in baseball. So we certainly don't begrudge Mr. Smiley, but that was that routine play right there is probably one of the hardest in baseball.
Well, lots of times if it's just that little nubber back toward the mound, there's a spin on the ball as well, coming off the end of the bat or off the handle. Not always easy to field cleanly.
And offers, but he does get him. Nauman.
Home plate umpire asking for help there, and umpire down at first said, yep, he couldn't hold up. He swung.
Off the plate. Go to 1-1. Yeah, again, we don't have any sense of how long Smiley will pitch today. Has pitched 3 innings, both of the two of the 3 other contests that we played. And there's a shot to right. That'll be out of play. And ended up under the padding there down the first base line. So he pitched 3 innings on Wednesday of last week. He pitched 3 innings on Sunday. Back again for 3 innings here today, or at least we are in the 3rd inning. 2-2 count. No one warming in the pen for the Knights, so he's going to at least have 3. And here's a tough play, but routine as Chucky Lawrence comes up with the putout, and that will retire the side for the Knights. We will go to the bottom of the 3rd. Knights tie game 2-2.
Need a last-minute ingredient for your next meal or dessert? Visit your local Weis markets and purchase our high-quality frozen vegetables or fruit during their Frozen Food Month event. Eat better, spend less. That's Weis.
And we will take a short break, and we'll be back here with you to FNB Field Tanner McCoy steps in. 3, 4, 5 hitters for the Knights. McCoy, Joseph, Thomas. And this is where the Knights need to make some hay, as they say, and pull ahead. Nauman's look good, though. He has allowed a few hits, 4 to be accurate, and a walk, but has struck out 5 here in the early going, including striking out the side in the last inning as he hits McCoy. And as soon all the praise that I give to Nauman, and he hits the leadoff runner. At least that was an off-speed pitch.
Yeah,
so hopefully it didn't hurt too bad.
McCoy looks like he's shaking it off easily there, heading to first base.
And Joseph struck out in the first on, he didn't strike out on this pitch, but he had a questionable call, and then I don't know if that impacted him. Nonetheless, even the best hitters strike out as he takes strike 1 there. And that ball gets away from the catcher.
Yeah, and that ball was low, but I think that's going to be a pass ball probably. A ball that catcher probably tell you should have caught.
And of course, we were giving all of the praise to the Williamson Trade backstop. Today, that's McLaughlin here in game 2. We see the trainer running over to the Williamson Trade bullpen, so hopefully everything is okay over there. We don't really have a clear view of really either bullpen from our vantage point.
And we did have a player change there between innings, and I didn't see who was going out, but it looks like the trainer, Matt O'Brien, is talking to him and looking at maybe at his leg there.
Didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but... And Joseph looked like he was going to offer, but held up and runs the count to 2-2. Now with a runner in scoring position.
I think it was Ramon Sanchez over there that the trainer is looking at.
Ball gets away from the catcher again. And back-to-back pass balls allow McCoy down to third base. And now just anything to the outfield should score McCoy and give the Knights the lead here. And this is the guy you want up in that circumstance. And he struck him out. 2 Ks for Joseph here in this contest. Again, Sanchez, it does appear, as Steve mentioned, to be the potentially injured Williamson Trade mechanic.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a hip or a leg, but he's over there swinging and flexing his left leg.
Thomas has a double and an RBI thus far. And does take that first strike. Again, Thomas just needs something to the outfield, and McCoy should be able to get home. Strike 2. Although McCoy did get gunned down at home in game number 1. Excuse me, that was McCahan. Off the plate. Another gritty effort here from Nauman. We'd mentioned last year he pitched the Eastern State Athletics Conference championship game, in which the Knights won in extra innings on a walk-off, much like Friday.
And he had a number of base runners in that game too, but he just didn't give in, and just, as you said, gritty is just the best way to describe what he's done.
Oh, and there Thomas just got a piece of that ricocheted off of the helmet there of McLaughlin, and I'll tell you, this has not been McLaughlin's inning. 2 pass balls and now takes one off the head.
Yeah. And he's okay, but again, the umpire going out there to give him a minute or two just to make sure that he's okay.
Catcher is a thankless position. Unless you're Cal Raleigh and you hit 60 home runs, but that's 1 in a million. Thomas lucky he didn't get the strike call there. That's a place that the umpire here has called, especially with 2 strikes, but does run the count full. And this should get a run, and it does. An error there.
Yeah. Should have been an out, but third baseman just didn't stay down on it enough, and it went under his glove and into left field. So does score the run, and the Knights do take the lead.
The E5 and gives the Knights the lead, 3-2. And looks like, you know, this is, we mentioned this, we've made this point a couple of times. Coach Thompson 0 times to the mound in a 12-0 loss. And here we are 3-2, and he's going out to the mound in the 3rd inning. If there was a post-game press conference, that would be the first question I would ask.
Yeah,
why didn't you go to the mound in the first game?
Yeah, you know, maybe he saw something there, picked up something, you know, and maybe saying to Nauman, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, because that certainly wasn't Nauman's fault there, that ball went under the third baseman's glove. If he had fielded it, the runner would have held at third, certainly.
Getty will come up. So Kaufman gets the second game off to give Lawrence some at-bats. Getty in for Boyd. And now David Thomas on first. Do you roll the dice and have Thomas run?
Well, the Knights haven't been as aggressive here in game 2, but I think there's a good chance that he might be taking off here on the second or third pitch.
One strike on Getty. And he's going to get strike 2 on the check swing. Knights do lead thanks to a RBI from David Thomas. Off the plate for Getty. Smith Cole stands on deck, who singled and stole a base back in the second inning to lead off, but was stranded ultimately on third base. And Getty comes up empty on the big cut on the slider. And now 2 down for Smith Cole. Some velocity there from Nauman. That, again, we don't have a radar gun, but that certainly has to be one of his fastest pitches.
And Trainer O'Brien getting some ice over there for Sanchez. Hope that he will be okay. Bounce back quickly.
Smith Cole takes the strike. Looks like a balk.
And Smith Cole saw it right away. He just kind of stepped out of the box and said, no. And the umpire said, yeah, I agree, that's a balk.
Let's go 1-5.
1-1 count now with a runner in scoring position as Thomas. And that one's going to get away, and now Thomas is going to take third. That's the third Steve passed ball in this inning.
That's one he definitely would tell you that he should have caught. Just went off the end of his glove.
And my apologies here. The wind is really picked up. Hopefully that will correct itself, and if not, I will get it between the half inning.
And if not, just viewers take some Dramamine. You'll be good.
Or just angle your head. Can Smith Cole reach base to get Thomas home? And it's going to go right at the second baseman, and he hit it right at him.
Right on the button, but just one of those atom balls right at the second baseman.
All right, we're going to take a short break. The Knights now pull ahead 3-2.
Let's glove up, glove up.
Paul Miller, Steve Hassinger here, as we will see a longer outing from Smiley here today as we go into the fourth inning.
And I don't know what the plans were, but as we talked about, if it had been like game one and you had a 9-0 game, maybe you get him out of there and not throw as many pitches, but last two innings have been pretty quick for him. Much more competitive game here in game two with the Knights leading 3-2.
Go 2-7.
Just upstairs. Of course, Gross had that big double in game one and single here earlier in game two. So one of the more prolific hitters for Williamson Trade on the afternoon. But back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings from Smiley. Has allowed the Knights to claw back as he struck him out.
Yeah, good pitch there, a little down and away, and Gross just couldn't make contact.
Strikeout number 5 for Smiley. Nagel steps in, struck out back in the first inning when Williamson Trade was trying to rally. They did get 2 across in that first inning before the Knights were able to come up. Knights got those 2 back. And another one for good measure.
Another good pitch there by Smiley. Would have been tough to do anything with that.
And the pitch. It's going to be just off the plate. Again, breeze really picked up here, everybody, as that's going to go out to left field. Easy play there for Thomas. And again, doing the best we can to keep the camera where it needs to be, but as the wind picks up, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Hey, 2, we go, let's go,
And another big pitch there. The slider across for Smiley. And I'll tell you, performances like this are going to go a long way for the Knights' postseason opportunities, and that's going to be straight up the middle. Smiley fortunately didn't get hit by that one because those hot shots back hitting the feet are never good, but Ladislaw will get the single.
Yeah, very close to hitting him in the ankle there, but he got out of the way. Wouldn't have been anything he could have done. If he had kicked it, it would just change directions.
And, you know, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier this year, Steve, but pitching is hard enough as it is, let alone having the fielding component on top of it. And just, you know, it's reflexes to stick your glove out or to stick a hand out or stick a foot out. Usually not the best idea, not only for your own health, but also for the play.
I mean, we see those highlight reels where somebody sticks a glove out behind their back and the ball happens to find it, you know, but you're right. I mean, typically you end up deflecting the ball, and maybe if your fielder did have a chance to field it from second or short, it ends up deflecting away and being an infield hit.
Had Locklear way off balance there. The pitch from Smiley. There he goes. From his knees, Getty. It's an impressive throw. Didn't come up with it cleanly there down at second base, and Ladislaw steals with 2 down. Base hit here could tie this game. A strike ends the inning. And he struck him out. Another strikeout from Smiley. That's number 6 on the day. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Knights still lead 3-2.
The Nightly News Media Club at Central Penn College is looking for new members. Members have the opportunity to get hands-on experiences writing for our student publication, The Nightly News, being a part of the Nightly News podcast, or being a part of our sports live stream broadcast. Email Club Advisor Professor Paul Miller at paulmiller@centralpenn.edu. And as the Career Services Director, as I've mentioned many times, I love the hands-on experience and the way that students can continue to build their skills outside of the classroom through the Nightly News.
We actually have 3 students here right now who are members of the Nightly News, who are working the game, and we appreciate their efforts. We're going to take a short break, and we'll back here with you, Paul Miller, Steve Hassinger for the Nightly News. We have a new pitcher on the mound, Jacob Nauman. Pitched well across 3 innings. allowing 3 runs. And now Gross will step in. Daniel Gross, 8 innings, leads the team in innings pitched across 2 appearances. Still a 9.35 ERA, again, based on the statistics that were on the Williamson Trade website. Slider gets across there, as we'll see Cruz, Lawrence, and Wilson do up. And Cruz did not want to swing at that. Time called. Not sure who called that. Did Cruz call that?
I don't know. I did not see or hear him call time.
Just off the plate. 2-2 count. I want to thank everybody out there, all the viewers, as Cruz foul ball, for our continued support. If it wasn't for the viewers out there, we couldn't do this. So we just want to greatly thank all of you out there in baseball land who are joining us. Well, our next broadcast will be April 14th. We have 3 more broadcasts on the season. FNB Field on April 14th, and we'll be at CD East High School on the 19th of April. I'm back here for Community Night on April the 28th. Also, pencil in the ESAC Championship game hold on May 2nd. Of course, we've got a long season to go, and the Knights have to make it there, but that will be a game that we are certainly looking forward to calling. Always on Derby Day. Interferes with my Derby Day plans, Steve.
Oh, man, they should call you first, Paul, before they schedule it.
Of course, I would miss the Derby for an ESAC Championship game 100 times out of 100. And usually the game's early enough that I can still watch the Derby.
True.
We can be your Derby pregame here on the Nightly News YouTube channel.
Maybe do a little forecasting of the Derby, you know, during the broadcast.
I do like watching horse racing. This will be year number 2 of going down to the Preakness, which I enjoyed immensely. Also enjoyed the Pennsylvania Derby we got to go out to last year. That was really cool.
Yeah, I missed it last year, but I think I was there the year before.
You're thinking about the Penn Mile, which is a different race.
Oh, wrong race.
That's going to be flied out to right. And good catch. The Penn Mile is at Hollywood Casino. The Pennsylvania Derby is at Parks in Bensalem.
Gotcha.
Both fun races.
And I was at Parks one time, quite a few years ago.
It's beautiful now.
It is a nice place.
It's the first time I ever ate in a glass restaurant. Glass ceilings, glass all around. There was literally no walls. It was all just glass.
Wow.
Charles Lawrence steps in.
Go 5-0.
Struck out back in the 2nd inning. Bottom of the 4th. Knights cling to a 3-2 lead. As Lawrence lays off the slider down and away. Comes up empty with the big swing, does Lawrence. Love to see Lawrence get a base hit here. Just high. That's got to be a tough pitch to let go by with only 2 strikes.
Yeah, with 2 strikes on you, it definitely is. So good job to lay off there.
And he walks in.
Good at bat by Lawrence to draw the walk there. Central Penn needs some base runners. Want to try to get something going here. Just a slim 1-run lead at this point.
Go 9.
Lawrence trying to get in the pitcher's head over there on first base. And that's going to be away. Wilson rung up to start the game, walked and stole a base in the 2nd inning. McCahan struck out with 2 runners on base back in the 2nd. And Lawrence gets back in there. You know, now that wind is slightly relaxed, I mean, as nice of a day as you will ever have for watching baseball. And there goes Chucky. And he is in there safely with a stolen base.
Good jump by Lawrence, yeah, and the catcher really didn't have much of a chance to get him there at second, so you got a runner in scoring position now, and Central Penn would really like to push across another run or two here.
Listen to the crowd reaction from this Lawrence steal. Definitely a fan favorite.
Dancing around out there at second, looking runnerish like he's going to try to steal third. He goes back.
Wilson not pleased with that strike call.
That's like 3 balls off the plate.
And Lawrence definitely has the pitcher's attention there as he's dancing around out there at second.
I want to see what he does before I make any type of commentary here. He's doing exactly what he's attempting to do, and that is get in the pitcher's head. I don't know that I would want him to do that, but that's why I'm back here. He literally could have had third base right there. He was halfway down the third baseline. And Wilson takes a strike.
I think Wilson would like that pitch back.
Wilson calls time. 3-2. 1 down here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Wilson, he just eats it.
Yeah, it just wasn't hit hard enough. Got it off the end of the bat a little bit. Slow roller there to deep short, and probably a good job to just eat that ball and not try to make the throw.
McCahan 1 for 2 here in game number 2.
Let's go, Deuce, sit on 1.
Tripled back in the first and scored. Struck out in the second. And that just missed. Being extra bases down the first baseline.
Yeah, that would have been trouble. We would have gotten at least 1 and possibly 2 there if that had stayed fair.
Down through her, kid, down through her.
Foul by a couple feet down the right field line.
Big strike on the fastball. 2 strikes on McCahan. First and second, Chucky Lawrence at second, Wilson at first. And that ball off the plate. This is the 7th and final game of the homestand. Of course, we were supposed to play 2 on Friday against Christendom, but the second game got rained out and postponed as McCahan just clips the bleachers up on the first base side, just in front of the giant pavilion.
Hanging tough with 2 strikes. This is a big batter here with Tanner McCoy on deck. And especially with only 1 out. That's way off the plate. And Gross has already walked 1 batter. Definitely doesn't want to walk a second to load the bases for McCoy, to Steve's point. This is going to be popped up to center. Excuse me, to right. And does come up with it. That is 2 And not deep enough to try to advance the runner there. So still first and second with 2 out now for McCoy.
Certainly not with Tanner McCoy coming up. You don't want to make, you never want to make that out at third.
You definitely do not.
So McCoy singled and drove in a run in the first, hit by pitch, and scored after 2 passed balls back in the third for McCoy. Catches that outside corner. And the umpire definitely giving that outside corner to Gross in this case. It's at least 3 or 4 pitches that caught the outside corner in the umpire's mind.
And we've seen it on both sides.
Another.
And that pitch is in the same spot.
And, you know, something Parker and I talked on Sunday about is, you know, as long as it's consistent for both sides, it's all good. But it's when it's inconsistent or even inconsistent from, I mean, this is going to be a relatively easy play over to first to end the threat. The Knights do strand 2 as we go to the top of the 5th. It's still a 3-2 lead for the Knights.
Weis Markets is proud to be an American-owned and operated company since 1912. We make our own ice cream and milk locally in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. Weis Markets also has its own meat processing plant in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. We keep our operations local to ensure great, fresh, Weis quality products for our customers. Eat better, spend less. That's Weis.
Take a short break and we'll be back in just a moment. Here we go, top of the 5th inning. Cameron Smiley still out there. After a longer first inning, did get 1, 2, 3, both in the second and third innings, and only allowed just a single to Ladislaw there in the 4th. So only 1 base runner over the past about the past 10 batters, really 12 after striking out the last 2 batters of the first inning. So Smiley's been dealing. And this is going to be another tough play right up the middle. And that gets away from McCahan. Fortunately, the runner cannot advance. That was going to be a tough play regardless. Another leadoff runner. The first time that the Mechanics got the leadoff runner on, they scored 2 in the first inning. Have not been able to score since then. Have not gotten a leadoff runner on base since then either. And they're bunting. And Smiley's going to go get that runner at first as the Stanton advances. And a runner in scoring position for the top of the order as number 13, Perkrovich, comes up 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Big swing. Strike number 1 for Smiley. A little low. 1-1. One down here, top 5. Off the plate, 2-1. And just in case, I'm sure that you've noticed, what's going on with the scoreboard. They have been working on the boards, new boards out there, so I think that they're just doing some testing. But I am kind of worried because it stayed that color basically since the first game. So I don't know what kind of test they're doing on those scoreboards, Steve, but it's not really much of a test.
I mean, I'm hoping green is for go. I don't know. It was red earlier.
Oh, my. One down. The single and a sacrifice. And now there's a timeout. As Smiley attempts to make it through inning number 5. But it's not going to be easy with a runner in scoring position and the top of the order. Off the plate again. Smiley struggling to locate that fastball.
Yeah, full count now, and I don't know. You just feel like you got to get out of this inning and score some runs here. That 1-run lead.
Well, we've got the people coming up to do it. And unorthodox pickoff move.
Yeah, Smiley throwing back to second there, but shortstop was not over there at the base to take the throw.
Joseph, Thomas, and Getty due up in the bottom of the 5th. Almost goes into the dugout over there.
And Williamson hasn't had a ton of base runners, but we haven't seen them be real aggressive on the bases when they have had base runners. Certainly not like the Knights.
Well, the way Smiley's pitching, you have to wonder if it's just a matter of the limited number of base runners in the first place. As Smiley walks only his first batter since the first batter of the game, also Krokrovich. I mean, of course, you could count a hit by pitch as a walk, but just in terms of base on balls. We do see some stirring out in the pen. We can test out those binoculars you brought. We'll take a short break. Does appear to be Jordan Spatafor out in the Knights pen. Again, we're just speculating because we are using binoculars, but it does look like him from our vantage point. But 3-2 Knights, and frankly, two of the most important batters of the game for Cameron Smiley coming up. Sanchez was replaced. He went out with an injury. This is now number 1 Dominic DePolter. Who did play in the first contest.
Paul, it's been a while since we saw a ground ball double play. This would be a nice spot for it.
Indeed. And that ball off the plate looks to have been low, because that's at least in the width area where that umpire has been giving that call all day, basically. Just high, I'll tell you. 3 balls, no strikes. This is Nauman on deck. This is not the situation you want to find yourself in if you're Smiley.
Yeah, he doesn't want to load the bases, and it would also put the go-ahead run in scoring position at second.
And, you have to wonder, this is his 3rd start in 8 days. I mean, does fatigue have anything to do with it here? Fouled straight back. Didn't hear it land, so not quite straight back, but in the neighborhood.
Cam.
3-1. Just outside, and he walks him again. Back-to-back walks for Smiley, and the bases are loaded for Nauman.
Tying run now 90 feet away, and go-ahead run at second.
Looks like Coach Stevens is going to allow Smiley at least one more batter. He is just really struggling to locate and honestly looks a little tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He seems like he's laboring a little bit out there. While you don't want to groove one, you've got to let him put the ball in play here.
Looks like Smiley's just really struggling to even find the strike zone. If somehow, even trading an out for a run here, we don't want to see that, obviously, with it being only a 1-run game, but at this point...
Better than walking and running.
Yes. Does get a...
That was generous, too,
favorable
I believe.
call.
We said, he's been calling that outside strike for both sides. Big pitch here. You don't want to go to 3-1.
And that's going to be right back to Smiley. And he's going to come home. And Getty made the right decision there, holding on to that ball, because while he had a shot, if you can get that lead runner at home, excellent defensive play by Smiley. And arguably the most important throw home from Smiley all day.
Now, you talked earlier about how difficult it is to field your position there as a pitcher, and Smiley made the right decision too, because he didn't have a chance at a double play there by going to second and first. So definitely the right play to make the out at home and get the lead runner.
The old 1-2, as that one's out of play. The 1-2 fielder's choice.
Chance to get out of the inning now, but tough batter here.
Gross, arguably the most prolific mechanic. I will tell you, as we see Cam Smiley lose his hat, somebody, and I'm not sure if it was Noah Lopez, Nightly News president, or Dylan Bowman, one of them got a mid-pitch photo with Cam with his hat falling off while he's throwing a pitch.
That's awesome.
It was a good one. And kind of bails Smiley out because that one was well low. I'm sure Smiley will take it.
And with 2 strikes now, he's got to guard the plate, swing at anything close. But at the same time, Smiley doesn't want to groove one to Gross here, the cleanup hitter with the bases loaded. But at the same time, you can't throw it in the dirt and have a wild pitch either.
If Smiley can somehow get out of this inning, man, you have to give him a ton of credit.
Absolutely. He's battling. We talked about Nauman having grip, but so does Cam Smiley.
No question. Just gets a piece of that. We'll go to the high camera while we fix that.
Yeah, he really whacked our camera on that one. Well, it didn't hit the camera, it hit the net, but camera took a bow to the right here. And that ball should hang up long enough. And it is. So good job by Smiley to get out of that bases loaded jam and preserve the 3-2 lead. Weis Markets is offering hot deals in their deli department. for every 5 pizzas you purchase, you'll get the 6th pizza for free. This includes both cheese and 1-topping pizzas. Eat better, spend less. That's Weis. I'm getting hungry doing all these wise reads about food here.
Well, interestingly enough, Steve, we have both learned over the years that we need to bring some snacks to the stadium because, frankly, this is one of the jobs where, generally speaking, we literally have absolutely no clue how long we're going to be here. So we could be here as little as 4 hours and as many as 6 or 7. I mean, it's just we don't really have any idea.
We do not. Depends how long these games are going to go and if they're going to be extra innings.
And
Friday,
of course,
Friday we had a long game, but a great game, and then got rained out for the second game.
Of course, there is a concession stand here, but that doesn't mean that we have the opportunity to go over there. Right, you're on, okay.
Nick Joseph's going to lead off for the Knights here in the 5th. Knights leading 3-2. Good competitive ball game here in Game 2 after the Knights won Game 1 12-0. 4, 5, and 6 due up here for the Knights. They'd really like to get a few more runs here. Ball and a strike here to Joseph, leading off. And catches the inside corner. Down the right field line, and it's going to go back and out of play. Knights would like to get that leadoff batter aboard here. David Thomas on deck. And Nick fouls off a tough pitch there, hanging tough with 2 strikes. And Nick started to offer at that, thought it was low, but called strike 3. Let's see if Thomas can get the Knights going here. David started the season kind of slow, but he's really come on here lately, definitely swinging a better bat. And again with the outside corner strike. Gross has done a good job since he's come in here. Norman went the first 3, and Gross came in the 4th. He's got the first out here in the 5th. Low and away. Again, gets that outside corner. Those are good pitches. 2 strikes now on Thomas, so he'll have to guard the plate. And might be a play on that ball. Oh, hit the railing of the mechanics dugout.
And I'll tell you, Steve, that is very difficult to do. And I thought there might have been a play over there, but that also was very close to going into the mechanics dugout.
And very close to hitting the net on the way down.
Let's go, Dave Thomas, kid.
Thomas fouling off a couple pitches now with 2 strikes.
Bottom 5. Smiley worked his way out of a bases-loaded jam, and here comes one back at us. Almost killed us. It is tough when that ball goes back like that.
You're not quite sure which way it's going to bounce.
And Thomas, another foul ball.
Hanging tough with 2 strikes here. Just barely got a piece of that. Rolled it down the third base line. Jack Getty waiting on deck with 1 out.
Let's go, Dave Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas is right on that pitch and grounds it between short and third for a 1-out single.
And to Thomas's credit, reached base 4 times in the first game, now has reached base 3 times in this game.
Well, and he fouled off a lot of tough pitches there to stay alive until he got one that he could handle and send it into left field for a single.
So Thomas did reach on an error in back in the third, but has reached base now 7 consecutive times, Steve.
Yeah, definitely swinging the bat so much better. And he's a big piece of this Knights offense. They've been getting contributions up and down the lineup, but David Thomas swinging the bat like this will definitely help to carry this offense.
There you go.
And Getty goes the other way with a single. Now the Knights are in business.
Hard liner to right field there, and it was just hit so hard that Thomas couldn't advance to third. First and second, 1 out now.
Weston Campbell will now come in as the designated courtesy runner. And Smith Cole singled earlier in the game, stole a base. Was 2 for 2 with a steal back in the first game. So again, you would definitely say last year Smith Cole's offense not his calling card. Certainly it's his defense. This year Smith Cole's been as clutch as any night.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen him get some bunt singles. It's a tough out now.
Just out of that range that has been given on that outside corner. Again, we'll be back here with you. April 14th is our next broadcast here at FNB. So it is a Tuesday afternoon as Smith Cole takes a strike. And, of course, save the date for Community Day on April the 28th. That'll be a 4 and a 6 o'clock game under the lights.
Always a fun night. Yep.
Inside. Of course, you can always keep up with everything Knights at centralpennknights.com and keep up with the Knights as they go on their 2-week road trip. Actually, the better part of 3 weeks, as that comes right back at us.
2-2 now.
After a Joseph out, singles from Thomas and Getty give the Knights some life here in the bottom of the 5th. That one's downstairs and runs the count full. And again, the last thing that Gross wants to do here is put Smith Cole on for Cruz.
Let's see if he starts the runners here with a full count of 1 out. He does not, and it is ball 4.
And now Darwin Cruz, Sunday's second game player of the game, has a chance to make his mark felt with some insurance runs.
Get your shine, kid. Get your shine.
No one warming in the Knights' pen. I don't know if either Spatafor is ready or if Smiley's going to come back. Does get that call on the outside corner. And again, Steve, maybe from our vantage point, it doesn't seem like a strike, but at least he's calling it consistently.
Absolutely, and as we said, on both sides.
And the bunt! The squeeze play, no one's
yeah.
covering first base.
Yeah.
What a play!
Really well placed there by Cruz. Pitcher went to his knees trying to field it. The second baseman did get over there to first by that time. Pitcher's on the ground and just could not even make the play. So still got the bases loaded and got that insurance run now.
Steve, what do you think about the squeeze play call there?
Well, and I think, he's, again, with Cruz's speed, I think he's really trying to bunt for a base hit there. Just really positioned it well.
With the bases loaded?
And now Lawrence is squaring.
Usually, I got to be honest, I don't know that I've ever seen someone try to bunt for a base hit with the bases loaded. But clearly,
I wonder if Owen ever did that. I don't recall, but yeah, it's a little unusual. But also, Williamson Trade was not expecting it either.
No.
Which is what made it successful.
Indeed. And no one was covering first base, so even if Gross would have come up with it cleanly, his only play would have been home.
It'd be interesting to ask Coach if that was called from the dugout or if he did it on his own.
My inkling is it was called from the dugout and that Cruz probably wouldn't try to do that without, but who knows? What do I know? Chucky was looking to put one in the river. Unfortunately, came up empty. And the strikeout does give the Knights 2 outs, but still the base is loaded with arguably one of the hottest hitters in the Knights lineup, Jamarcus Wilson. And I'll tell you, as many big hits as Wilson's had, there might be none bigger than if he would get a base hit here.
Yeah, this is a big batter in this game.
Does get that call on the slider, does Gross.
4-2 with 2 innings to go is still very manageable for Williamson Trade, but the fact that they've scored 2 runs all day, you got to think that if they could get 2 more across here for the Knights, that 4-run lead would look really big.
Slider looks good and gets the strike call. Wilson 1 for 2 with a walk and a steal. That's off the plate.
Wilson, as you said, has had some big hits lately, and I understand he had family in town to see some of those big hits this past week.
Low. Well, Steve, I got to tell you, you may have met them as well, but I got to meet several Knights recruits that were here at both Friday and Sunday's contests. Folks all the way from Washington State, folks from Canada, Tennessee. So the future is bright for Knights recruiting. And there is a shot, but it's going to be handled just fine. And the Knights leave the bases loaded, but not before. A squeeze from Darwin Cruz plates a run and gives the Knights a little insurance as we go to the top of the 6th. Knights lead 4-2.
Shop for your groceries at Weis Markets and get discounts on fuel for your car. With Weis Rewards program, you can earn 1 point for every $1 spent on participating purchases. When you reach 100 points, you'll be able to redeem your points for 10 cents off a gallon. 200 points will get you 20 cents off, and so on, up to $1 off per gallon of gas. And that's exactly what I did on Saturday. We had an open house at the college, so I had to work a couple hours in the morning. Went down the road, went to Weis, got some groceries, got some fuel. Good deal.
And as we mentioned, with the gas prices being how high they are, the more you shop at Weis, the more inexpensive your gas will get. Cameron Smiley done for the day. Jordan Spatafora will take the mound for hopefully the final 6 outs, and we'll take a short break. We go to the top of the 6th inning. Only 6 more outs for the Mechanics as the Knights cling to a 2-run lead. Spatafor enters the game, the senior from East Penn High School. Spatafor struggled thus far this year, though he did come into Sunday's allowed 2 runs, but did close the game out. So one of the key pieces in the bullpen for Coach Chaz Stevens is Jordan Spatafor. And he almost hits.
Yeah, that pitch behind him.
That is Nagel, 0 for 2 on the afternoon. And there is someone warming in the Knights' pen. Just in case things get a little dicey for Spatafor.
I think that's Braden Kipple out there in the pen, the sophomore.
Strike. And Kipple actually closed both of the games down on Sunday. Now, the second game, Kipple did struggle and did end up getting out of it with that fantastic play by Darwin Cruz in center field. And stays alive does Nagel. Yeah, I thought it was interesting on Sunday that after closing out the first game, Coach Stevens called on him to close out the second game as well. That's, I don't want to say unprecedented, but certainly unusual.
You don't see a lot these days.
Inside. And this is a really big pitch here. You do not want to let Nagel get on base. 2 of the next 3 have reached base today, Ladislaw and Stanton. There's a nice pitch. This is going to be a tough play. It's a little windy, but McCahan handles it with no problem. Looked like that was a little deeper than I thought it was deeper off the bat than it ended up being, I guess is what I was going to say. I thought that was going to be into short center.
Important to get that first out, get the leadoff batter out of the way, especially in a 2-run game, because anybody reaches base here, the tying run comes to the plate.
Ladislaw pops this one up, and McCoy does get it just off of our screen, but rest assured he did come up with the putout. And quickly 2 down for Spatafor.
Yeah, good job by McCoy to stick with that. Over there near that wall.
Not a ton of foul territory here, at least on the first base line, a little bit more on the third base line.
Well, on Friday we saw the Christendom first baseman go hard into that wall.
Yes.
And lay his lip wide open.
I'm sure he's still thinking about that.
Well, and our trainer told me yesterday that he was had just gotten cleared from a concussion. So, not a good thing.
4-2, Knights holding on to a lead. They'll have one more opportunity to add on some runs. And Spatafor looking for that outside corner call. Does not get it. Count is 1-2. Knights will... And that's going to be right back to Spatafor, and he is able to come up with that and gets out of it. 1, 2, 3. Great defense there by Spatafor and gets out of that inning. We're going to go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Knights holding on to a 4-2 lead.
Central Penn students and alumni have free access to Handshake, your career management platform, to help you discover new career paths and find amazing jobs and internships. We understand that students can be busy, so we've pre-populated some basic information on your profile for you. Go ahead, claim your account by clicking on the tile at My Central Penn, downloading the Handshake app to your phone, or going to joinhandshake.com.
And Steve, we have a minute here. If you would want to give a little bit more of a plug for Handshake, you're welcome to do so. If not, we can take a break.
No, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I love it because when an employer contacts us and says, hey, we'd like to let your students or your alumni know about this job opportunity or this internship opportunity, how can we do that? We're going to direct them to Handshake. The nice thing about Handshake is that it is the #1 site across the country that employers use to recruit college students and new college grads. And a lot of schools across the country are members with Handshake. So here in the area, for instance, Messiah University, Shippensburg University, Elizabethtown College, we all use Handshake. So an employer can go on there and they can post a job and they can share it with multiple schools at one time. And for students and alumni, they can go on to Handshake and they can connect with employers as well. So if they're looking for employers in an area, they can put in a search, put in a geographical area, certain radius within that area, and any employers that are on Handshake, they can find out who they are and they can connect with individuals at those companies.
And Steve, if any students out there have questions about Handshake, are they okay to get a hold of you?
We would love to have them contact me directly. If they can't remember who to contact in career services at centralpenn.edu will come to myself and Kristen Fike, and we will be happy to reply to you.
And of course, it doesn't just have to be about Handshake. You do mock interviews, you do LinkedIn, you do resume workshops, you do all kinds of different things with our students and graduates as well.
Absolutely, yep. Once you graduate, we don't just cut you loose and say good luck. We're here for you whenever you need assistance.
Here we go, bottom of the 6th, McCahan steps in. McCahan had that triple back in the first, 1 for 3 on game 2. It's his 4th at bat. And gets some good lumber on that, but right to the shortstop, and does come up with the out. The 6-3 put out.
I don't know, Paul, that lumber sounded awful metallic.
I guess good metal, it just doesn't sound right.
It doesn't, no.
It is interesting, some of these guys do play the Twilight Leagues, which are wood bat leagues, as McCoy not pleased with that strike call. It is the same strike call that has been made most of all day, so I can understand the frustration, but oh my gosh, nearly takes out Gross. Somehow he got a glove on that.
And he's just sitting on the mound kind of laughing and smiling, and yeah, he did get a glove on it. Thank goodness it didn't hit him in the head because, man, it was hit hard and right back at him and all the way into center field. The umpire wants to check and make sure that he's okay as well. He's still smiling and just shaking his head.
And Joseph steps in, 0 for 3 on this afternoon here in game number 2. Joseph 3 for 3 with a walk in game 1. So the tale of 2 contests for Joseph. Upstairs, and Joseph lays off.
And in the 5th inning, Central Penn got things started with 1 out. So let's see if they can do the same thing here as they now have a base runner with 1 out.
And that looked like his pitch, but just did not get all of it.
Yeah, just got it in on the hands a little bit. Popped out to short.
Can Thomas keep his 7 consecutive at-bat reaching base streak alive? Reached base all 4 of his at-bats in game 1, has reached base all 3 of his at-bats in game 2, including knocking in 2 runs. And certainly the inside track for player of the game is David Thomas. Downstairs.
Well, you know, the Knights would just love to add to that 2-run lead. As we said, you know, as we go to the top of the 7th, if it's a 2-run lead, 1 base runner, and you've got the tying run at the plate. Of course, so far, Williamson Trade has only scored 2 runs in 11 innings.
That's 8 consecutive at-bats reaching base for David Thomas. And after a couple tough games, Thomas has really turned it around over the past several.
And we knew that was coming. It was just a matter of time. So good to see him really get going.
It's going to be out of play up in the suite number 20.
Well, this would be a really nice spot for the freshman Getty to come through with a big hit here.
Here we go, force wide now. 4 pieces, force.
The pitch, way outside.
Good eye out there, not a good eye. Good eye.
McCoy drove in a run back in the first. Thomas drove in a run in the third to get the Knights started.
Good eye, baby, good eye, baby. Keep working. Keep working. Win this, Jack.
The Cruz
Win now, Jack.
squeeze play back in the fifth was a big one. Just off the plate, Getty holds up. And it's 3 balls and 1 strike. And Smith Cole on deck, who is, again, Mr. Clutch over the last several games. So he might have an opportunity to come up here with the bases loaded. Does get the strike to run the count full on Getty.
Big pitch here, 3-2 with 2 out, 2 on.
And Getty. Get the ball gets away. And here comes McCoy. And that, Steve, is a massive, massive run.
It sure is. And, you know, tough for Gross there because he did a good job to get the strikeout, but ball got away from the catcher and just couldn't make the throw to first in time. It's really got to be deflating as a pitcher to know that you made that big pitch and got that final strike, but it results in a run.
Still runners on first and second for Smith Cole. And that's actually the second time this season that is almost exactly the same thing has happened.
Well, and probably with 1 out, it wouldn't have resulted in a run, but with 2 outs, the runners were off with the pitch, so Tanner was already at third by the time the ball got past him.
And Smith Cole could add on here. And that's right back at him, and Gross, a great play, and that will end the inning, but not before the Knights tack on another run. Tanner McCoy heads up base running. We're going to go to the top of the 7th inning. Can Jordan Spatafor close it out and send the Knights home with a doubleheader sweep?
Are you in a hurry and can't figure out what to have for dinner? Stop by your local Weis markets where we offer quick, easy, and convenient meals for you and your family. Pick up a bucket of chicken or check out our Friday pizza deals. Eat better, spend less. That's Weis.
Take a short break. Back here with you. Can the Knights shut it down and take 2 from ESAC rival Williamson Trade? Jordan Spatafor with a 1-2-3 inning. We'll see Stanton, McLaughlin, and then top of the order, Krakovich. And gets that first pitch strike call, does Spatafor. Definitely, Steve, I know you mentioned this earlier, quite the competitive contest here. The pitching much more solid from Williamson Trade as McCoy trying to come up with it. Again, just off screen, again, does come up with it. So Tanner McCoy has played some solid defense over there at first base.
Hey, good job by Spatafor here. 4 up, 4 down so far.
Well, Steve, I think it's about that time to name the Weis Nightly News Player of the Game. Interested in your thoughts.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, and I really think David Thomas would be a good candidate for Player of the Game.
I'm going to second that, David Thomas. 2 for 2. Did have 2 RBI, reached base on an error, scored, and a walk to extend that last inning. But David Thomas, and, you know, in fairness, maybe those numbers aren't eye-popping here in this game, but to say that he reached base 8 consecutive times here in this afternoon, I mean, that's definitely worth being the Weis Nightly News Player of the Game, and made some good defensive plays as well, I might add.
He did, and as we said, he got off to a little bit of a slow start this season, but we knew that it was going to come, and it's really good to see him swinging the bat well.
And, of course, we call him out, and what does he do? He makes the next to last out of the contest. David Thomas, congratulations, Nightly News Player of the Game. His first time this season, hopefully the first of many. So with today, we are about halfway through our home schedule this year, 8 games in 8 days. So please make sure you save the dates for those final 3 games. 2 more doubleheaders at FNB. That's April 14th and April 28th. And we'll also have a doubleheader against Bucks County Community College at CD East High School on April 19th. So please mark those dates down. And of course, we'll keep in the back of our mind as going over to first, and McCoy can't quite come up with it. It was a good play nonetheless.
McCoy did field that, but he started to go over to try to field the grounder and then realized that he was going to have to get back and cover first. And he did get back, but it was just hit deep into the hole there. And not enough time to get that. And that's why it was so important to get that run last inning and to run the inning before. So now you have a 3-run lead, and you have the tying run on deck rather than at the plate.
Well, and hey, on the bright side, at least Tanner got a little dirt on the old jersey.
He certainly did.
And this should do it. And
He wasn't in the box. He wasn't. He's not in the box. He wasn't even in the box.
okay, so what they're calling here is a foul ball. Coach Stevens takes issue with the fact that with the umpire's call, that could have been the game. Nonetheless,
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a fair ball, and catcher pounced on it, but he called it foul right away.
and there's strike 2. Spatafor 1 strike away from closing this game out in impressive fashion. And the pitch. Just off the plate. A call that has been given at least a dozen times today. They don't want to close the game out with that.
Yeah. Getty was hanging his head at that call and shaking his head a little bit as he threw it back to the pitcher.
Because he knows that at least 5 other pitches were at that same spot. It doesn't matter. Spatafor walks off the mound, strikes him out, only allows 1 runner over 2 innings pitched, and will pick the save up. Does Jordan Spatafor, while Cam Smiley gets the victory, and Chucky Lawrence doing the worm off to our right. Well, Steve, what an afternoon of baseball, and we even got in and out of here in a decent time. So just very, very, very impressive efforts here from the Knights, both in the offensive showdown in the first game and defensively in pitching here in game number 2.
Yeah, and we saw Smiley get off to a little bit of a shaky start there, giving up 2 runs in the first inning, first 2 batters reaching. But he really settled down after that. 4 shutout innings following that to keep it at a 2-2 game or 3-2 game. Knights took the lead in the third. And then Spatafor,
Impressive.
got 6 of the 7 batters that he faced. So good job by him coming in relief there, because he came in with just a 1-run lead, obviously. But the Knights got 2 in the fifth, 1 in the fifth and 1 in the sixth to have a 5-2 victory.
Well, congratulations again to the Knights. Another doubleheader sweep and a 7-0 record during their last 7-game homestand here over the last 8 days. So congratulations go out to the Knights as they take firm control of the ESAC Conference. And again, mark that date, May 2nd, for the ESAC Conference Championship game. If the Knights keep playing like this, hopefully we'll be hosting. So, well, Steve, again, it's been my pleasure to get to call a game. It'll be a few weeks till we get to call another game together. But until then, I just want to thank you for all of your insight. This broadcast wouldn't be what it is without you.
Oh, thank you, Paul, for the kind words. I enjoy doing it. And, it's nice to see the Knights on a 7-game roll here. Let's hope they can keep it going as they go on the road.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this broadcast. Thank you all so much for your support. We'll see you again on April 14th. Until then, go Knights!